lost my shadow in violent sin. I lost my shadow in violent sin. Never knew the search would be within. Never saw the sun until it was too late.
First and foremost, I want to say thank you to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. If it wasn't for him, this would not be possible. So with that being said, hit the like button, share this video, subscribe to my channel, Low Nose Boxing. Over the weekend, we had tremendous boxing. Terence Crawford has officially stamped himself as an all-time great fighter, and he has a lot more to do. Terence Crawford scored a dominant victory, a dominant one-side massacre over Errol Spence Jr. And what made the fight more impressive is the fact that he destroyed a top 5 pound-for-pound fighter, a fighter who may well go into the Hall of Fame someday. Errol Spence Jr. was a unified champion at 147 pounds. Errol Spence Jr. was Terence Crawford's nemesis. And Terence Crawford did not just beat Errol Spence Jr., he dominated him in every way possible. He outboxed him, he outfought him, and he stopped him. He destroyed Errol Spence Jr. Right now, Terence Crawford is officially #1 pound for pound in boxing. To me, he always been the #1 fighter in boxing, pound for pound, but people used to flip that number around. They had Lomachenko on the list as #1. They had Inouye on the list as #1. Some people have Usyk on the list as #1. But there's no doubt that Terence Crawford is #1 pound for pound in boxing. And speaking of pound for pound in boxing, pretty soon I'm gonna make a video discussing my personal top 10 pound for pound list in boxing. What I'm gonna talk about right now is Terence Crawford and Floyd Money Mayweather Jr. A lot of people are comparing Terence Crawford and Money Mayweather, right? Who's better than who? Who's a greater fighter? There's some people that actually go out and say right now that Terence Crawford is ahead of Floyd Mayweather Jr. on the all-time list. Now, when it comes to all-time pound-for-pound status, there's certain criteria that I use to determine where a fighter is going to be on that list. One of them is accolades, which means championships won, things of that nature, divisions conquered, unifications, undisputed, resume, the level of fighters that an opponent defeats, right? Skill set, what type of intangibles do they bring to the ring? Level of dominance, how are these fighters winning the fights? Are these fights close and competitive? Are they whitewashes? Are they demolitions? You know what I mean? Knockouts. Consistency. How long they've been on the highest level. These are the criteria how I grade a fighter on the all-time pound-for-pound list. So with that being said, Terence Crawford, as far as his resume goes, right? Terence Crawford has wins over Kell Brook, Shawn Porter, most recently Errol Spence Jr., Yuriorkis Gamboa, Evis Kavaliauskas, Amir Khan, Jose Benavidez, Jeff Horn, Ricky Burns. Those are the most notable wins that Terence Crawford has, right? As far as his accolades go, he was a world champion at 135 pounds, which is lightweight. He was an undisputed champion at 140 pounds during the 4-belt era, which is now. And now he is the undisputed welterweight champion, right? We haven't had an undisputed champion at 140 or 147 in the 4-belt era, right? Floyd Mayweather Jr. been a world champion before. at 130 pounds, which is junior lightweight, 135 pounds, 140 pounds, 147 pounds, and 154 pounds, right? Is Terence Bud Crawford ahead of Floyd Mayweather right now? My answer is absolutely not. In terms of accolades, I actually would have to rate Terence Crawford ahead of Floyd Mayweather, because even though Floyd Mayweather has won more titles in more weight classes than Terence Crawford has done something that Floyd Mayweather has never done before, and that's become an undisputed champion, an undisputed world champion. At that, the 4-belt era. At one point, it took just 3 belts to become undisputed champion in one weight class. And I don't mean to say just as if it's an easy feat to accomplish, because if it was, every world champion would do that. But Terence Crawford also became the undisputed world champion at 147 pounds. Terence Crawford is the first 2-division, 2-time undisputed champion out of all the male fighters in boxing. Floyd Mayweather, with all of the accolades that he has accomplished, has never been an undisputed champion. Once again, that backs what I'm trying to say. It's not easy to be an undisputed champion. So in terms of accolades, Terence Crawford, to me and to many, is ahead of Floyd Mayweather in accolades. However, it takes more than just accolades to be an all-time great. Now, when it comes to resume, Floyd Mayweather has a deeper and a better resume than Terence Bud Crawford. Terence Bud Crawford's 5 best wins, in my opinion, and the opinion of many, is Errol Spence Jr., Shawn Porter, Yuriorkis Gamboa, Jeff Horn, and Victor Postal. Those are his 5 best wins, right? Errol Spence Jr., to me, may go into the Hall of Fame one day. I believe that he will. Shawn Porter, he might go into the Hall of Fame one day. The other 3 fighters, I highly doubt it. Very good fighters, but not Hall of Famers. Floyd Mayweather has wins. His 5 best wins for me was over Canelo Alvarez. And that win has aged greatly, because Canelo Alvarez has turned out to become an incredible fighter. Definitely a first ballot Hall of Fame someday when he retires. Manny Pacquiao, Hall of Famer. Miguel Cotto, Hall of Famer. Oscar De La Hoya, Hall of Famer. Sugar Shane Mosley, Hall of Famer. And mind you, these are fights that Floyd Mayweather won later on in his career when he was Money Mayweather. That's not even including the fights that he won earlier in his career when he competed at 135 pounds, 130 pounds, 140 pounds, when he had wins over Diego Corrales, wins over Gennaro Hernandez, wins over Jose Luis Castillo, Zab Judah. I mean, I can keep going on and on. So in terms of resume, Floyd Mayweather surpasses Terence Bud Crawford. And for me, resume means more than belts, because you can win titles against guys that are just belt holders, that just win a belt and then lose a belt. For example, Terence Crawford beat a unified champion in Julius Indangos. Julius Indangos is not going to be on anybody's pound for pound list all time at all due respect. Unified world champion, but he was somebody that just held the belt. So with that being said, now the next criteria that we're debating about is level of dominance. When it comes to level of dominance, Floyd Mayweather was whitewashing nearly everybody that he fought. Floyd Mayweather wasn't really a knockout artist, but he was the type of fighter that would really separate himself from his competition. He would win damn near every single round and only limit his opponents to about maybe a 15% connect rate. Terence Crawford also dominates his opponents. He gets hit more than Floyd Mayweather, but he also outboxes them and dominates them, but he also knocks them out. Terence Crawford right now is on an 11-fight knockout streak. So when it comes to level of domination, I would have to put them somewhere even, because Terence Crawford does lose more rounds than Floyd Mayweather. But right now, Terence Crawford is entering a different level. He's starting to fight the elite guys. He beat Errol Spence Jr. Terence Crawford dominated Errol Spence better than Floyd Mayweather did to his rivals in Manny Pacquiao, Canelo Alvarez, and Miguel Cotto. He destroyed Errol Spence every single minute of that fight and knocked him out. So when it comes to level of domination, for now, I'm going to lean with Floyd because he's been doing it more consistency, right? Then when it comes to consistency, Floyd Mayweather was fighting on the highest level for a longer period of time. At the end of the day, Floyd Mayweather, to me, is above Terence Bud Crawford. As far as who would have won in a fantasy matchup, that's a whole nother video, whole nother discussion. I can't just give y'all that one for free right now. That's a whole nother video. But what I will say is this: does Terence Crawford have the opportunity, and is it possible for Terence Crawford to surpass Floyd Mayweather Jr. on the all-time list? In my opinion, my answer to that is abso-effing-lutely. And he has a couple of ways he can do that. Terence Bud Crawford right now is 35 years old, right? Floyd Mayweather retired with a 50-0 record. Terence Crawford can go about this two ways. Terence Crawford can go out there and attempt to surpass Floyd Mayweather's 50-0 record. Or he can just set himself up for about maybe 5 big fights, 5 big wins. Terence Crawford strikes me as the type of fighter with the old school mentality that has no picks. Sort of like James Lights Out Tony. He will fight anybody, no matter what. I'll give you an example. You know my gimmick, I gotta bring the old school into the new school. Gotta bring you up to speed. When James Toney had a fight with Roy Jones, damn near signed and sealed with an actual date, in between that fight, James Toney took on a rough, rugged, light heavyweight champion in Prince Charles Williams as a tune-up for Roy Jones. That's sick in the head right there. Terence Crawford strikes me as that type of fighter. He's cut from that type of cloth. So with that being said, these are the 5 fights that if Terence Crawford takes and wins, he may be able to surpass Floyd Mayweather on the all-time pound-for-pound list. Let's say next 5 fights, Terence Crawford takes on Keith Thurman, former world champion. Let's say Keith Thurman has an impressive victory over Dennis Ugas. It looks like the vintage Keith one-time Thurman. Terence Crawford can get a win over Keith Thurman, right? Then he takes on Jerron Boots Ennis, a phenom out of Philadelphia, my city, by the way. If Errol Spence gets a victory over Jerron Boots Ennis, that would be his version of Floyd Mayweather getting his victory over Canelo Alvarez. Because Jerron Ennis, whether he wins or loses to Terence Bud Crawford, in my opinion, Jerron Ennis is going to be a world champion one day and has all the tools to be a great fighter himself. So let's say he fights and beats Keith Thurman, Jerron Boots Ennis, and then takes on the winner of Jermell Charlo and Canelo Alvarez. That can go, he might be able to take on both of them. Let's say Canelo Alvarez beats Jermell Charlo in a highly competitive fight and doesn't knock him out. And Charlo puts up a gallant effort to the point where it's looked at as a moral victory for Charlo. And he goes back down to 154 pounds to fight Terence Crawford. And let's say Terence Crawford beats him and dominates him, right? Even if he doesn't knock him out, let's say he whitewashes him or beats him cleanly without any type of dispute whatsoever. Terence Crawford would then be a 3-division, 3-time undisputed champion, right? And then after that, he takes on Saul Canelo Alvarez. And by the way, I'm going to shorten that list. I believe he can surpass Floyd Mayweather in 4 wins. If he beats Keith Thurman and stops him, Jerron Boots Ennis, Jermell Charlo, and then somehow manages to get a super fight with Canelo Alvarez, let's say at about 160 pounds or 163 pounds at a catch weight, right? Now, I know what you're saying. I know what you're thinking right now. Canelo Alvarez already lost to Floyd Mayweather when he was undefeated, when he was 22 years old, if I'm not correct, right? But at the time, people were saying that Canelo Alvarez was inexperienced. He was young. He was green, right? Now, Canelo Alvarez at the moment seems to be on the downslide. He's an older fighter. He's not the same fighter he was back in the day. However, Canelo Alvarez, to me, even on the downslide, is a better fighter than the version that fought Floyd Mayweather because he's more savvy. He has more experience. He's fighting at his more natural weight. So if Terence Bud Crawford were to beat Canelo Alvarez, right, let's say within the next year, right, or 2 years, whatever the case may be, in the order that I said, Keith Thurman, Jerron Ennis, Jermell Charlo, and Canelo Alvarez, that win would look better than the win that Floyd Mayweather had over Canelo Alvarez. Because Floyd Mayweather beat Canelo Alvarez before Canelo Alvarez went on to be the legend that he is right now. So if Crawford could beat Canelo Alvarez as the legend that he actually is right now, he would surpass Floyd Mayweather Jr. Now, is this possible? Absolutely. Is he going to accomplish this? I don't know. What I will say is this: Terence Crawford would definitely be an underdog in at least 1 or 2 of those fights within the 4 fights that I just mentioned, depending how everything falls into place. I'm just being creative. I'm just going as a boxing fan. I'm shooting off the hip, but I'm speaking my mind, man. So with that being said, we got a lot of great boxing coming up. And it was a pleasure talking boxing with all of you. So hit the like button, share this video, subscribe to my video, subscribe to my channel, excuse me. Low Nose Boxing. I'm out.